could run for the state senate and potentially win. So newcomers would be able as that seat was vacated by Kristen McDonald when she went to the United States House of Representatives for this area.
Okay, so but she does not have to run again.
She will be running for her seat. All of our congressional people run every 2 years, so she will have to run again. So all of the congressional people will be running again. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about turnout.
Yeah,
because I'm always interested in some of the data around the election. Saginaw County had a 19% turnout. I'm a little bit disappointed in that as an important a seat as this is, my expectation was that we'd have a significantly higher turnout. In Bay County, it was 21.7%, right around 22%, and in Midland, it was 22%. So the turnout in those communities was a little bit higher, but again, I think it was below a lot of people's expectation. Now, it was a special election; it was the winner, and so there may be a whole lot of reasons why. The other interesting factor that I think is when you look at a lot of the data. A couple things jump out at me. I tried to look at the split between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party with the voters. When I look at Saginaw County, well, let me start with Bay County. We had a total of 16,887 votes that were cast. And I told you about the turnout rate there. But 9,329 of those were Democrat votes. And we had about 7,220. So it was like almost 2,000 votes more on the Democratic side. Now, I don't know really how to interpret that, what that really means. All we can say is the data says that there were more Democrats who voted in the primary than there were Republicans. That could signal that Democrats are much more interested in this seat. But I'd be careful with that because once we get into the August and November election, it could be very, very different. It could be significantly higher turnout. And most of our urban communities, that 19-20% number may not change very much, but it could be much elevated in a Midland, a Bay City.
Yeah.
So, but it was an interesting piece of information because it looks like to me that Democrats were clearly a little more excited and interested in voting for their candidate. Now, you and I know, and a lot of people in this community have talked about Green's campaign, and so he was everywhere, all day, 24/7,
on TV,
and so
television,
people
everywhere.
got to know his face and know his name, even if they didn't know him. So. But his campaign was very highly promoted. In all three counties, the second place winner was Dr. Pamela Pugh. Pam has been very, very connected with the NAACP for years, so I'll be transparent there. And a lot of people were certainly pushing for her. She has already won an election, a statewide election. She currently serves as president of the State Board of Education, but she was elected in a statewide election to the State Board of Education. And when you look at this election data in all three counties, pretty similar results. Mr. Green beat her by probably a 2-1 or a 3-1 margin in all three counties. So he significantly and resoundingly won the election.
Well, Terry, he is not known or is not well known, how did he get elevated like that? How did he get, I received about 4 cards. Okay. I saw him on television, but no one knew about him. Is it always money?
Well, I think
That
money plays a
is
very critical role in a major election like that. But I think clearly the campaign strategy, the
mm-hmm,
campaign tactics paid
mm-hmm,
off. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, he ran an effective communication program. He was on TV continuously. He did continuous, almost daily mailings. So name recognition and people thinking they could attach themselves to him and familiarize themselves with him. Um, it looks like his campaign paid off the way he conducted his campaign, I should say.
well, Pam Pugh, will she be trying to go back and try to get elected?
I have not talked to Pam.
Okay.
Certainly we want to make sure that at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
all of us, black, white, Republican, Democrat,
Mm-hmm.
send the right person to Lansing to
Right.
represent the 35th
Right.
district. So I think there's a high probability that other people will jump into the race after the May election. They will be announcing. I don't know who that is. I don't have any inside secrets. Nobody's
Mm-hmm.
told me they're going to
Mm-hmm.
run. But the opportunity is there. If somebody surfaces and think they can beat Tunney or Green after they get elected in May, they have every right to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't surprise me if somebody does.
Will she be able
Who
to?
is she?
Oh, I'm sorry, Pam Pugh.
Mm-hmm.
Pam Pugh, is she will be able to stay as the president of the Board of Education?
Well,
right?
she's elected to that
Well,
seat.
she's elected to that,
So
but
she will fulfill that. She will fill that term.
but okay, but she can't run and still have that term.
She can run for the state senate. Yes.
Yes, but she would have to let that go.
No, she still serves as the state president right as we speak
Okay.
now. And throughout this campaign, she was serving in her role
But
as state president.
But if she goes and signs that she wants to be a candidate, again, will she have to step down from the
No.
Board of Education?
No.
Is what I'm saying.
The only time she'll probably have to step down
Mhm.
out of necessity more
Mhm.
than anything else is if she wins the election in November.
Mm-hmm.
How do you serve in the state legislature and serve on the state board of
Mhm.
education at the same time when you're voting on the money and things? So, I mean, that'd be a total conflict of interest, and anybody with reasonable sense knows she would step down.
Yeah. That was a question that was brought to me. Is she going to stay as the president, or is she?
She will stay to as president of the state board of education as
Yeah.
long as her term
Is right.
And if she decides to run again.
Mhm.
Now, keep in mind, she does not run for the office of state president of the board of education.
Mhm. Mhm.
That's an appointed position within the board. The
Mhm.
board itself decides who the president is.
Okay.
She can run for the state board of education.
Right.
If you recall, Pam was the top vote getter
Yes.
the last time she ran
Mhm.
in the entire state for all the people who ran for the state board of education. So, I can't speak for Pam, and I won't do that.
No. Yeah. I understand.
I just want
that.
people to understand as they listen to you and I discuss this that she can run for the state senate and retain her seat on the state board of education.
Okay. All right. That's very good. I'll pass that along. I had a lot of people calling, at the last minute, but so I said that I'll ask the president of the NAACP because we're going to be working hard.
Well, I had inquiries too, but
Okay.
as I go back to the earlier part of the conversation,
Mhm.
When we look at a 19%, and I haven't done a precinct by precinct breakdown, and I will probably pull up some of those numbers just to satisfy my own curiosity more than anything. But historically, we know in many of the east side and south side precincts that we have significantly lower. So if the overall turnout across Saginaw County was 19%, then my suspicion is we've got significantly lower turnout in some of the precincts
Okay. All right.
around the community.
So the next thing that we were going to talk about was the symposium that's taking place at Saginaw Valley.
And I just want to take a minute to invite people to the symposium, but let me just share just a quick comment about what it is. This will be the second annual Community Engagement and Inclusion Council um, Symposium. It will be hosted on February 24th at Saginaw Valley State University. We'll start around 9 o'clock in the morning, go to about 5 in the evening. But just like last year, when we had probably 150, 175 attendees, DEI is the focus. There are a lot of people in the community who feel very strongly that Saginaw ought to celebrate its diversity, that we ought to encourage people to gain greater understanding of who lives and works in our community and some of the disparities by race, by gender, et cetera, in our community. So this symposium is designed to examine some of those issues. There will be a series of about 12 workshops, and you can choose the ones that you want to attend. We've got a great plenary speaker by the name of Justin Jones. Fusu. Okay. And if you have not heard of him, I would encourage you to Google him. He's a well-known best-selling author, and one of the books that he has written that we see in corporate America quite a bit is a book titled The Inclusive Mindset. And it's really a well-written document that talks about how do you get to the point where you really are ready to receive people who are not like you in various settings and in the environment. So very, very well spoken. He will be our keynote speaker that day. We're also going to have Dr. Gavin now, who is no longer the president of Delta College, but he has taken on a role as president and CEO of the Alliance for Higher Education. So he's working for higher education institutions and specifically looking at these issues of diversity and equity and inclusion and belonging and trying to focus on how he can help these institutions across the country continue to support some of their activities that promote inclusion.
Is he still here in Michigan?
My understanding is he's still in the area. He's accepted our invitation to speak, and I'm sure he's going to be maybe offering some comments about some of the work he's now doing and how things look in other parts of the country.
Okay. Very good. Very good.
So again, that's the 24th. There is a registration process. And there you can go online, the Saginaw Valley State University, or you can go to the Saginaw Community Foundations because the foundation is a kind of a co-sponsor.
Okay.
We've also listed the NAACP as a co-sponsor. Yours truly will be partnering with representatives from our Michigan Department of Civil Rights.
Yes.
We will be doing a workshop. My focus will be on Project 2025 and where are we right now in February of 2026 with Project 2025. So it's an update. It'll explain what the NAACP has been doing over the last year and a half to push back on some of the executive orders and some of the things that we see coming out of the federal government. The Michigan Civil Rights Department is going to talk about not only what your rights are with respect to discrimination and racism, but also talk a little bit about how some of this has impacted their work in Lansing. You have the federal law with respect to discrimination, but you also have the state law, which is the Elliott Larson's law.
Okay, now we're celebrating Black History all this month. Okay,
correct.
Talk about a little bit, because I haven't heard of this, about what Trump has done and for them, not what he's done for them, but for Mr. and Mrs. Obama. Okay. Talk about that a little bit. Because people, that was another blow up on the phone.
I don't have to spend a lot of time with it because I think by now everybody in the whole world knows what happened with the posting with him picturing Michelle and Barack as monkeys. The thing that I think a lot of people are concerned about, I don't care what your race is the pattern that we're seeing. this goes back a long time, his pattern of racism and discrimination, and I'm just calling it what I think it is at this point. I don't think we really, as the president of the ANC, need to bite our tongue. But this goes back to even before he was elected to his first term as president.
Right.
When you look at the issue with the Central Park Five, when you look at the birther insinuations with Barack Obama when he was running, when you look at his comments about third world countries, I mean, there's a whole series of things there and a pattern that I think ought to be very concerning. This is the president of the United States. Most of us have grown up expecting a lot greater decorum, a lot greater responsibility, respect for the rights of others, and there ought to be some concern. I don't care who you are and who you think you represent, but he ought to be holding himself, in my opinion, to a much higher standard and trying to unify the country as opposed to continue to divide us.
One of the CBS hosts in the morning show, she was talking about how, teachers in schools and people around the country are trying to gather people together and so that our kids, as they grow up, will understand. I have never seen a host start crying. She said, but what he's doing, why is he doing this? It was really bad.
Well, I can imagine it could be very, very hurtful.
Yes.
I think there are a lot of us who still have a lot of respect for the Obamas.
Yes.
And beyond that, this idea that you can just target people like that and you're the president of the United States. The other thing is that you hear a lot being discussed over the last 48 hours or so is him not accepting responsibility for it, that it was a mistake, that somebody else did it. I think there are very few of us who buy that. Certainly, as controlling as our president is of every detail and every item, there's nothing like that would be posted where billions and millions of people would see it, and he is not aware of it. That's just, in my opinion, that's just can't be true.
But Jerry, we only have like a minute and a half, okay? Is there anything that you would like to say to our listeners here in Saginaw about voting, about coming to this symposium and, looking Trump in the face?
Well, I'm going to stick my comments to voting because I don't want people to get disillusioned. I don't want people to give up. I think the most important thing for us is to exercise our right and responsibility to vote. There are going to be some critically important elections for the rest of this year. It's not just the Senate seat that we talked about earlier. I mean, we're going to elect a new governor, Secretary of State, Attorney General, judges on the Supreme Court. The young man who spoke at our Freedom Fund dinner is up for re-election in November as on the state Supreme Court. So there's a lot on the line, a lot on the table, and I implore you must vote in every single election that's going to be held this year.
Absolutely. Okay, Mr. President Terry Pruitt of the NAACP, thank you for being here this afternoon.
Glad to be here.
And if we can turn that up loud a little bit more. Okay, please tune in next week for another session of Community Connections. Community talk for community people.
You have been listening to Community Connections with Joyce Harvin on KISS 107.1. The views and opinions expressed on this show by the host, its guests, or call-ins do not necessarily represent the opinion of this